Okay, so we were watching Soju here playing Roadhog on Lijiang Tower. This is what they said. This is my first VOD review because I feel like I did everything that I could, and this game still isn't anywhere near winnable. I was 0-2. This is one of my few games that's rank reset. Overall, I think I played decently, although I definitely made a few mistakes here and there. Honestly, I'm just tired of trying so hard, not having any control over the game. What could I have done better? Am I not contributing as much as I thought for making the fights a 4v5 after hooking and killing one of the healers? Would switching to another tank be better in this case, even though I'm doing my job as Hog? Please help me, I'm tired of games like these. So I will tell you, first of all, is if you want to climb, you have to be trying as hard as you possibly can every single match. And even then, you can play literally the best game of your life, and eventually you will get to the point where you will still only win 50% of your games if you are playing the very best game of your life. And the reason being is that everybody else is trying as hard as they can too. So you're going to be playing against all tryhards, and your skills will all be comparable, and you will still win 50% of your games. And remember, when you win 50% of your games, it's not like you win one, lose one. You could lose like 4 in a row, right, and then win 4 in a row, right, or lose 4, win 1, lose 3 more, and then win 5. Like in the grand scheme, 50% is a coin flip. So a lot of stuff will happen in that regard. But I think that if you're getting tired of trying so hard, that's kind of what comp is going to be. I would figure out what is the comfortable level for you to consistently play at, right? What is a consistent pace that you can kind of hold in terms of energy, and play that, because you will find that if you play at your absolute hardest, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you will find games that you will lose because you're not trying as hard, or because you'll like burn out, or you will try super hard to a point where you're like, wow, I really don't want to play this game anymore, because every game I have to play like at my absolute best game of my life to just maybe have a chance at winning. That's just kind of the way skill-based matchmaking works, right? They're going to put you up against people until eventually it's going to get you to 50-50 unless you figure out how to continually improve. All right. That being said, let's play this out. So you're playing Hog here with Lucio and Moira. This is an okay composition. I definitely prefer the Kiriko over the Moira, or an Ana over the Moira, but maybe the Moira is going to do a lot of work for you. The Lucio kind of sort of enables you, definitely get your speed. There's definitely some environmentals as possible. Lucio's very common in King of the Hill, very strong King of the Hill, which is control. But for the most part, I'm expecting pretty much, you do your own thing, your team does their own thing. Pretty classic Hog experience. So for starters, don't even shoot this shield, right? You don't need to. This is a wasted... Sorry, I'm sick, so you're going to get some of this. So you don't need to shoot the shield at all, because you literally just step 1 second to your right, and then you can hook people and start killing them. Or even just right-click them from there if you want to do that, right? But this right here, shooting the shield, is not a good use of your time. You only have 5 shots. Hog has 2 different things that affect his threat profile, right? Number 1 is hook up. Number 2, does he have ammo? 5 shots is actually not a lot, because it's really almost impossible to kill somebody with one of your shots unless you right-click them in the head at exactly the right distance, A. But B is it's got a relatively long reload. It's not a lot of ammo. You typically need about 3 shots to kill someone at close range, and at long range, you probably need about all 5 to consistently kill somebody with right-clicks. So you really need those shots. Like, I actually almost feel my ammo is more of a limiting factor than my hooks are as Hog. So you don't want to be spamming the shield. It's not going to make a difference. Even if you break the shield, by the time the shield is broken, the Ramacha's going to get wherever they want to be. They're going to be on point, and he's going to have another shield again. So don't waste your time on that. Right? You see, this is like really interesting, because you're like playing cover here, but this is actually not what you want to be doing as Hog, right? You're forcing the team to only deal with attacks coming from one direction here. Instead, if you just go to the right, it becomes so much harder for the team to win. You see how the Ashe feels safe playing here because of how far back you are. But if you walk onto point right here, this Ashe is like, oh shit, I have to play like much further away, and I can't do damage, right? The team feels very nervous about stepping forward because they know you have hook. You're making their lives easier by playing the center position. Alright, good kill on Lucio. Right, opportunity for load. Pushes aggressively, right? You go over supports, which I think is reasonable. Right, the Mercy's like so far back that I'm like, okay, whatever. It's not. If she's playing that far back, I'm not gonna chase her to the end of the earth, right? There are like other people here, especially the Ashe, who's gonna continually be damaging you, than just focusing exclusively on Mercy. Right, right there. I think you could have landed that. You were like kind of on target. You like clipped the thing, I think. So this is a good game where we're like, yeah, you kill Lucio right away, but you see actually what happens after this. Your Genji dies for this, which is, you're his fault, not really anything you do about that. Right? So now you're actually, right? Then your Lucio dies, so you're down 1 in the situation. And you know, you might say, okay, why is my team dying? Fair question, but it's gonna happen, right? No matter what, like teams will get picked, just like you picked, you know, their Lucio right at the back. Actually, did Lucio get rezzed? Oh no, is he just coming back to spawn? Yeah, he's coming back to spawn. So, I mean, you're gonna get picks, they're gonna get picks. This is just life, right? You can never expect either team to play perfectly. That's why you get kills in the beginning, right? Because you make mistakes. So you gotta make something happen here because you're down one right now. You're losing more people. At this point, it's not your team's fault. Like that Tracer's just running over your team, and you're not putting any pressure, right? You see that you're standing here, and the other team's like, okay, we'll just go over here, and the Tracer's like, okay, I'll just go for the back line. You're not providing any presence right now on the field. Okay, so what could you have done differently? So from this point, right? I think from right now, you got to figure out either A, I just missed hook, so I'm in big trouble, right? Either I go to the point, right, and then start pressuring the Ramattra or the Ashe, right, or the Mercy, or I retreat to backline, try to get a pick on the Tracer, and then come back in. Okay. The problem is you do neither of these things, right? One of the things that's really important that I play note about Overwatch is more time good for me or bad for me? Like the stalling, is it good for me or bad for me, right? For example, on defense, stalling is typically good for you, right? Because you want the game to go longer. Every second the opposing team is not pushing, you're winning, right? But in this situation, more time is bad for you, right? Because you're already down one rather, it's 4-3, and they have control of the point. So every second that passes gets worse and worse for you. So you either need to accelerate the fight, right, and give yourself the opportunity to kill people without hook, right, just by shooting them to death, and change the fight around, A, or B, you need to retreat, right, possibly get a kill a Tracer, but regroup and go 5-on-5 when it's going to be at least even. But you do neither of these things, right? You like play safe and passive back here, but you see how this isn't doing anything. Like you're not doing anything right now as a tank, which is why your team's getting run over, and you're not capping the point or contesting the point at all. Unlucky. So this is interesting, okay? So you can see right here, your team is in, right? The Lucio's in, the Genji is in, the Soldier's sort of able to shoot people, the Moira's coming with you. Like, you gotta be in here, right? You don't want your team dying when you're not fighting. It's not like you're coming back from spawn. You've been here the whole time. Like, as soon as they start engaging, you should be like, okay, we're going. Like, let's go. They are actually making space for you, right? You're literally unchallenged coming around this corner. What's really puzzling here is that you turn the corner into a great position, and then you go back. And I think what you're looking for here is an environmental on the Ramattra, right? I think you're thinking about, hey, let me pull him into the pool, but this is a bad idea because it's gonna take too long, right? And what if the Ramattra goes back? What if you miss hook? Then you just lost the fight. Like if you just walk towards them, like think about it. Instead of this time, if you just walk towards them, then you have so many open options. You even miss a hook, you can just kill people with left clicks. Like this, your team is committed now. You know what I mean? Like they're not like getting out of this. So you should be playing as though this is a going in or it's over. Right? You see how you're playing slow right now, but your team is trying to play fast. Right? You missed the hook. Okay? Like this, whatever's going on with Genji right now is your Genji got a kill on the Mercy basically all by himself. Right? Again, your team's going in. Right? You gotta be in there. Okay. So many things have gone wrong here. Alright, you're full health right now. Missed the hook. Unfortunate, but, you know, it was close. Right. Reload right there. Ramattra's just kind of, like, punching you to death here. So I'm just not, like, so familiar with Ramattra yet to, like, understand this matchup, right? Just because he's such a new hero. But he's doing 80 damage a hit right now, and you're just doing nothing. I think you out-damage him if you have ammo, right? But you shoot, get the reload here, right? I definitely think that you should be jiggling here at a minimum to avoid taking these hits constantly. I think that is not working out for you. Your Moira's still coming back from spawn. You should be aware that your Moira died in that last fight. You saw 2 die, so you should be aware that you're down 2. Right? You gotta be buying time right now. Heal. They gotta lay this hook. Good, got 1. Right. But it's not enough, right? Again, I think you're maybe even now. Mercy's going for res. It's tough for you to contest this without hook, right? Ramattra does good blocking. I think healing first and then whole hogging but because your Mortar's not really there anymore. But she comes back in time. You see your Mortar is low. So again, like a good example of like selfish play. So you see your Moira eats this dynamite. My instinct here, since I have to take a breather, it's not to move backwards, it's to move forwards. Because I want to block the Ramattra from going after my Moira. She's not going to die from the dynamite alone. But she could with follow-up damage, right? You just kind of abandon her completely. Are you getting killed? So I think one of the things is like you're focused like, okay, like I'm getting kills on the healers. First of all, you're only killing the Lucio, who is arguably the least valuable person on their team. And based on his general movement and decision making, I would assume he's probably the lowest skill rating player on their team. So if you imagine this is a team of golds, the Lucio is probably a silver. So you're just picking on the weakest guy of their team, which is not necessarily going to be enough for you to win the game. Not all players are equal. That's really important to understand in matchmaking. You're not all identical players where every single one of you provides equal value. Even if you're all the same rank, you may not all be playing your strongest heroes, right? One of you might be playing the strongest hero, one person might be playing like a hero they never play, in which case they're providing different value. You have to identify who is actually causing you trouble here. It's not the Lucio, right? The Lucio's not doing anything, right? The Mercy's certainly providing more value. The Ashe is providing a lot of value, and the Ramattra's providing a lot of value. So, and the Tracer, I would say, is also providing good value. The Lucio, right, partially because you've been killing him, but I don't think the Lucio is necessarily doing a lot here on his own. Alright. I think this is a reasonable situation where you're going for the Ramattra. I think it's dangerous to cross that gap. I think, yeah, you have 700 health, but you'd be surprised how quickly you get melted. Right, you track him here. Right here. I would definitely think about doing a shot hook shot, but you only have one shot. You can't miss that hook, for sure. But at that point, you saw that he was starting to get killed again, so I wouldn't bother. Alright, so the problem is, back to, is it good or bad if fights take long? This is bad for you, right? They're capping the point, they're at 63%. Even if you eventually win this fight, you're not going to have any time left. So I would try to review the situation and be like, can we realistically win this? And I think you can. I think you still can win this, right? But you got to focus on people who are not the tank. I understand going after Ramattra. I think it's ultimately the wrong choice. Okay, good kill on the Tracer. I don't know why you're peeking back there. Like, just like this is a waste of time. Like, I know it seems like such a small movement. This is a waste of time. You have to keep pushing the time, like advancing the pressure that you're putting on the team. That's a crazy hook. Right? I don't know what this hook is about. He was like clearly gonna wrap here, and this hook is not a target at all. I don't know. I agree with that hook. Right? Again, I wouldn't even bother shooting him. Right? Do you realistic? I mean, like if you had to bet the game on one that you can right click that Lucio to death, do you think you could do it? I wouldn't. Right? At my skill level, right? And I'm a pretty good Roadhog. I do not think that I could right click and kill that Lucio. I'd be like, I'm just gonna wait for hook. Right? I'm just gonna reload, wait for hook, and then kill him. I think that was a waste of your time. Right? Okay, see, like the Lucio's just walking around on the ground like a fool. There's no. All right, more Pop's Coalescence, which is totally unnecessary. 90%, so probably you need to play perfectly from here on out. So it's likely 4 team fights. It is like a small chance if there's like a staggered kind of fight where like some of your team gets out, then you might get another fight. But I would assume at this point we need to play perfect. So you should think in your mind, I need 4 team fights here to win. This is a bad hook, right? The Tracer's clearly trying to bait your hook, and you just randomly threw it. It's okay. Like, think about it. If you're standing here as Roadhog, okay, and the Tracer just keeps doing this over and over and over again, who's winning and who's losing right now, right? The Tracer's losing, because if you do nothing, if you just stand here, if you literally just stand here, take your hands off your mouse and keyboard, and the Tracer just stands here and occasionally shoots like 2 pellets at you at a time, she's not doing anything, right? She's just wasting her time. I mean, she's like, quote unquote, wasting your time. But again, it's the onus is on them to do something. So if their plan is to have their Tracer go here, try to bait hook before they do anything, and you never throw your hook, then you win. You throwing that hook is a huge win for the Tracer, right? Because the second you throw hook, I'm like, I can do whatever I want because you can't stop me. The Tracer dies after that anyway, but not really to anything you did. Okay, so in general, I would say this is an incredibly dangerous position to be playing, especially with Lucio. I think a better Lucio does and goes there and bumps you off, right? Like, I know you're looking for a hook, but at the minimum, if I was doing that, I would stand sort of in the center versus to the right or to the left because of how dangerous that is. But also, I'd also be perfectly happy just standing here and just right-clicking, because again, they have to do something in order for them to win. Okay, if I just stay put with my team, we can't lose until they make a move. It's very hard. I'm sure you feel this when you're on attack, right? It's very hard to take a point when they already control this. I think this is one of the most defensive favored maps, certainly Lijiang Tower, right? Arguably, including Control Center. I think Control Center is easier to take the first choke than it is to take here, right? It's just very, very difficult. And you taking risks here is not right. You do not want to take risks here. You want to be safe. So, this is a great good example where, hey, oh wait, when did you throw hook? You're looking for environmental again, that's why. You're like way too obsessed with the environmentals. So, notice that as soon as you throw a hook, they don't care at all, right? They just walk straight into you because you have hook. Because now, for the next 4 seconds, you can't do a thing. They're not scared of you, right? He's going to walk in, he's going to punch the hell out of your team. Right? See what's going on here? Because again, nobody cares because you don't have hook. If you just didn't throw the hook, you were fine. Like, you were doing it like you were on attack, where you're like, I got to make a play. On defense, you don't need to make a play, right? Unless they have massive ult advantage or something like that. All you need to do is just not die, not make a mistake, right? Just play safe. Like, you throw in a hook, they push in, okay? Again, imagine you had hook here. You just step to the left, so many easy hook targets. Now again, this is happening because you don't have hook, and they know you don't have hook. They know you don't. I guarantee you they know. They all saw and heard that you threw the hook and missed. They know you don't have hook. That's why they're pushing right now. Okay, but your hook is coming back up. So right now, instead of shooting the Racha's not gonna die. Racha's like every tank has a million different ways to stay alive. Why don't you just kill the rest of the team here? Especially the Ashe, honestly, right? But the Ashe and the Mercy would be the best targets here. The Lucio is clearly not giving them any value, right? Again, you go for the Lucio. For the millionth time, this Lucio hasn't done anything all game long. Granted, he has beat, to be fair. He has beat, but like my perspective of this game is that the Lucio's been so bad, what do I care, right? I want to kill people who are actually going to help me win the game. Oh man, that's a bad miss. Yeah, I mean, the Tracer's touching, you know, you recognize the Tracer can't cap. Again, looking for the environmental. Like, you see the Ashe is baiting it, right? The Ashe is like, oh, okay, this hog thinks he can environmental me. Right? She's like, oh, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to shoot, and immediately goes back. Like, don't assume everybody else is a fool. So, this is a great example where you see the Tracer come, you see how low the soldier, I immediately throw a hook right here. Right at that right corner, because you can tell that the Tracer's going to hunt down the soldier just from body language. Again, 1 millionth kill in Lucio still doesn't make a difference. That's a bad miss. I think that you have to recognize either I have to get wider of the corner, right? Like the Lucio's not even on your screen by the time the hook lands. You have to recognize that hook's not going to work. Right? So, beats up, just stay alive. All you do is stay alive, right? Good left clicks. Right? I think often trying to attack people through beat, unless your whole team's coordinated, is not a good call. I think it's most important to just refresh and get ready to keep people soon. So again, you're looking for the environmentals, right? You throw this hook. They know you don't have hook, right? And the time that you wasted over here, instead of recognizing that you saw the team rotating, right? And you're just not in position. If you were playing right here, you make their life really, really hard. Okay? Like super, super hard if you're playing right here or right here. Because then they can't walk on the point freely. And now they're going to walk on the point freely and they're going to spread out. It's going to make your life harder. Right? If you have whole hog here, you could have just prevented them from getting on the point at all. Alright, once again, killing the Lucio, the Moira. Definitely a good player. So, again, yeah, I mean, I think it's okay, understandable that you're going for Ramattra here, but I would have gone for the Mercy which is in here. 2 die right now. So, that hook, like, you could just, I feel like you still feel pressured by the Ramattra even though you're full, because you rushed this. Right? There's no reason to believe that I would be able to land the hook on that Tracer. Right? It feels like, based on how low she is and the Genji's fighting her, you can tell that she's going to rewind with Blink. Right? Just from body language. Heal. You need to land this. Alright, you do, but the problem is your whole team is dead. right? You kind of took too long here to do anything, and the Tracer killed 2 with the Pulse Bomb. But I would say fundamentally the biggest issue here was that you're simply not in position, and you allowed their team to walk into your team, right? If you had, instead of been wasting your time over here trying to get the environmental, if you came back over here and were just contesting the Ramacho from the beginning, I don't think any of that happens. And as expected, I don't think you have time to come back and contest it. Yeah, you don't.
Score.
That could have gone better, but we can still turn it around. Here they come.
Good hook. Right, so they traded, right? So you killed 1, their tank killed 1, so 4 and 4. Still even fight, reload. I'd look for the Mercy right now. Right, look for Mercy Rash. No, not the Ramon. I don't know if this is intentional. I think you're trying to go for the Mercy. Yeah, I think you were trying to go for the Mercy and the Ramatra walked in front. But I wouldn't throw this because of how far away she is. I know the Ramatra's here and how far away she is. I would not trust I would land that hook. I would have instead just gone right and gone for these 2. Like, I don't know why you're like making this really hard for yourself. Like, hey, trying to get the one who's like really far away actively dodging you versus just swinging to the right. And these 2 people here have nowhere to go. It's like much easier for you to get the kill on the left. I think this is a mistake. You pull the Ramatra in, which honestly, if I was Ramatra, I'd be thrilled. I'd be like, cool, great. Now you don't have hook. Now I just walk into the point, kill your team. Which is exactly what happens. Stop shooting the Ramatra, right? This right here, you're not going to be able to kill the Ramatra in time. You have to step forward and put pressure on the rest of the team. That super bad hook to miss, right? So you're 0 for 2 on hooks on this point, which is going to cause you to lose. Genji's dead. Like, technically you cap, but like that's because they step back to go kill Genji. Right? You get the Reaper, great, but the problem is you were already down 1, now you're down 2. Okay? Mercy goes for the res. You don't contest the res. Right, I think after you kill this Reaper, reload, I think you just go straight back there and then maybe even like stand on it to make the Mercy. Mercy should not gotta wear that. Reaper's here. At close range, you can definitely 1v1 a Reaper. That's the only distance, which is good. Once it's like 2 or 3 meters out, the Reaper is far advantaged over you. I would just jump off the cliff now, because there's no way you're gonna do anything here. So fundamentally, like, what happened? What goes wrong there, right? Like, you missed 2 hooks that you really needed to hit. If you don't hit hooks as a tank, as Roadhog, you don't do anything. You might as well just not exist. Okay, and they effectively fight a man down. For you to miss 2 hooks there, like, yeah, you got the first one on the Tracer, but the Ramatra traded for it. And you might be like, oh, like, why did my Tracer or whoever die? Like, well, I mean, you killed 1 too. So, like, people make mistakes. I think what you recognize is that you have to make fewer mistakes or make 1 more play than the enemy, and you didn't do so. Because then you missed 2, I would say, very straightforward hooks on the point, either of which would have helped you secure the point. Reasonable hook, right? I mean, I probably wouldn't have thrown it because I wouldn't have known when that Wraith was on cooldown. I think one good thing is always assume that the enemy has their cooldowns available unless you've seen them use it. You're looking for an environmental here, which I understand. So, okay. I think there's a lot to digest here. I think the first thing is, I wouldn't do this. I would walk up the point because your team is in, right? Your team is in right now. You got to be in there with them. A. B is, see if you have hook available, you can go for that Mura. B is, I don't know why you're taking cover here. Like, who is it better to be shooting? For them to be shooting your Mura or to be shooting you? Like, why are you covering here? This is crazy. Like, walk onto the point and force them to target you, right? Like, you're baiting all of your teammates here. You see, like, you're still covering. Like, either you think this fight is winnable or not. If you think this fight is not winnable, just leave, right? If you think the fight's winnable, walk onto the point and commit. Like, you're so afraid of commitment. Okay. Also, whole hog right here, and kill the Mercy. Right? Kill the Mercy, and then you can knock the Moira off. You know she's low, right? Because you hooked her and you shot her, so she's got like 40 health. Right? Now this fight's unwinnable, right? Your team used beat, they used coalescence, right? Your team went in first. I think they even got a pick. Right? So these kills, great, but like they actually don't matter because the fight was already won. Right? You would have won. Anybody would have gotten the kill. I don't know what you're doing here. You're trying to stagger him? You're trying to stagger him. Okay, so this is another great example where what is your plan here, okay? Here's their 5 people, plus Bob, so they got 6. They're shooting your 4 people. What are you doing standing over here? You know, you're like, oh, look, there's a Bob. I better take cover. What? You want the Bob to be shooting your teammates? You have 700 health and you take a breather, right? And then your teammates can heal you. Why would you not be up here tanking the Bob shots for them? Like, this is crazy to me how defensive you're playing. Right? Like, your team is just getting killed by the Bob because you're not doing anything about it, right? You're still like, oh, I'm going to play safe. I'm going to play safe back here. Right? Okay, now 2 are dead. Right? Right, now they're capping. And what? Why are you still alive? You know? Like, you should be, if anyone on the team's going to die, you should die first, right? As a tank. If anyone should die, you should die first. It's like a good general. Doesn't mean you should intentionally die, right? But it means that like you need to be focused of their attention, right? You need to play smart, and you should be like, I will trade my life for us to win this fight. You have the exact opposite perspective. You are perfectly willing to trade your whole team's life, right, for you to live, and now you have an impossible 1v5 situation to clutch, right? And you waste time. Right? You're over here taking a breather, which is feeding them more ult charge for the record. Right? And now you're like, oh, maybe I get a dream the whole hog. And then you die. And now you're just wasted even more time on the clock. And again, provided more ult charge. Don't do this one. Of all people to hook, don't hook the Ramattra, right? Like, you know there have to be other people here, right? The Ramatra's not here alone. Just keep rotating, and look, literally, don't kill the. There's no way you kill the Ramatra here. 0 chance, right? And now the team knows where you are, okay? Now they're charging more ult off of you, and you're not doing anything, and you're just wasting time. Now you have to take a breather, right? Oh, finally, you got an environmental. Oh man, finally you get an environmental, right? And again, Reaper pops ulti, you're not able to interrupt it because you don't have hook. Right? Lucio pops beat, you get a kill. So maybe winnable. Right? I don't know why you're just right in space. A good example where you're just kind of frivolous with your ammo usage, right? So imagine right here, like this right click, as soon as he does this, I just reload. Right? And then you would have ammo for when she does this stupid shit. And then you could easily have just 2-shot her right there. But because you didn't have ammo, because you were just right-clicking into space, that ends up happening. Big mistake. Okay, so what to cover? 1, I would say your general aim and hooking is good. Certainly good enough for your level. So I'm not even gonna bother like commenting on that. I think number 2 is outside of that, I think your take a breather usage is generally reasonable. I would say average. Not above average. I think you could be smarter, as I pointed out in scenarios where you could block for your Moira to try to protect, right, and have more presence in the fight. I would say number 3, your overall problem is your positional play. Like, you don't understand the threat of where you can, of the fact that you're standing in certain spots makes you dangerous to the enemy, which causes them to play differently. Right? You have your whole team tank for you instead of you tanking for them, which results in them getting melted because they have no front line. They have 0 front line because you're always playing these weird off angles like in the back, and thus they constantly are at the brunt of the enemy attack, and then they end up dying, and then you feel frustrated. Yeah, so I think that's probably the biggest thing is just be more present in the fight, right? Like for example, first point we saw scenarios where your team was diving in, right? And you're just like playing slow in the back, like looking for an environment. No, just get in there, right? Just get in there, even without hook. Just go in there, just start shooting people, get in their face, make them scared, force them to target you, because that takes pressure off of your team. Okay, that's like a really really critical part to the game. I would also say, like as a fourth point, I think you obsess way too much over environmentals, and you sacrifice other good opportunities hoping for an environmental, and I think that really really hurts you. And I would say, now that I think about it, I think your whole hogs in general were quite poor. Now that I think about it, I can't remember a single whole hog of any significance that happened during either one of the points. Um, and I would say six is just prioritize tank less. I think you're already generally trying not to prioritize the tank, but sometimes you get impatient and you're like, oh, the tank's the only target I see, and you try to go for the tank and it doesn't work out. Let me think if there's anything else. Yeah, I think that's probably a good list of things that I think would be helpful for you. Again, I think you could climb quite easily if if you if you understood like just where to be, because I think your mechanics are there. Your just positional play is not very good. Looking over the questions. Am I not contributing as much as I thought for making the fights of 45 after hook and killing off one of the heroes? Again, like you hook and kill the Lucio a million times, but the Lucio is really, really bad. So it made very little difference. Which is not to say you shouldn't take the kill, but I'm saying that you take the kill and do something else. Okay? Because it's not like Diramatcha is doing nothing. Diramatcha is also getting kills. So you have to be, at least one up over them, and that's assuming the Diramatcha is the same skill level as you. Right? If you want to carry games, you can just keep killing until you stop killing. Like just keep going. Don't feel satisfied by getting one. Try to get all five. Um, would switching to another tank be better in this case, even though I'm doing my job as Hog? First of all, I disagree that you're doing your job as Hog. I think you're getting hook kills, which is not doing the same as doing your job. And I think I identified quite a few scenarios, either when you're not getting the kills at the right time, missing critical hooks, or not being in the right position, leaving teammates to die, not taking pressure off your team. There's multiple ways in which I think you are not playing Hog well. A. B. Would switching to another tank help? Yes and no, right? I think switching to other tanks would cause you to play differently, right? If you're playing, for example, Reinhardt, you'd probably be playing with your team the whole time, in which case a lot of these positional play problems would not be as significant because you would be with your team and brawling together. Is Ramattra a good pick against Ramattra, or is Reinhardt a good pick against Ramattra? I don't think so. I haven't really played this matchup very much, so I don't know. But like, I just give you a hypothetical example, right? I think so many variables change if you change your hero, right? If you're playing Winston here, for example, you'd be diving a lot more. Hopefully, at the same time as your team, making a ton more space just by naturally being Winston. You create space by jumping on them and putting bubble down. They have to turn and deal with you. So I think that it is Winston would definitely be an example, but it doesn't. I'm not saying that you have to switch tanks to be successful here. I think the most important thing is just thinking about the tips for Roadhog. Hopefully that's helpful.